Few people know me by now. I like my hardcore punk, I like my southern rock, I like my metalcore. I also like bands who fuse all three together and make original, innovative, and just straight up fucking cool sounds out of those genres. Every Time We're Die formed in Buffalo, New York in 1998, and I've seen many people come and go, but we'll get to that when we get to it. They have a fairly consistent release schedule, and although I've only listened to their most recent album, that did make my top 10 list of 2016, so I can't really complain. For a band as cool and well-loved as ETID, I'm miffed that I never really tried them sooner than 2016, but for the purposes of these two parts, and also because I'm hoping for new stuff soon this year, please Epitaph, get it done, I'm going through all their old stuff to tell you what I love and what I may not love. Now, let's face the music. We start with their debut album, somewhat ironically titled Last Night in Town, released in 2001 through Ferret Records and produced by Adam Dutkiewicz, the one from Killswitch Engage him. It's a pretty solid first go by the band and establishes who they are really early on. But let's talk about other stuff first, like the band members at the time. Lead singer Keith Buckley, his brother Jordan on lead guitar, Andrew Williams on rhythm guitar, Adam Ratachak making his early appearance as bassist, and Michael Ratboy Novak Jr. on drums. We also have a guest star, with Howard Jones, formerly of Blood, has been shown in Killswitch Engage and currently in Light the Torch, appearing on the track Punch Drunk Punk Rock Romance. So, yeah, now onto the background stuff. Not long after forming, the band recorded a demo, then signed with an indie label named Goodfellow to put out their 2000 EP, The Plot Burial Bidding War. Not long after that, Ferret Records picked them up and they dropped this album. Now, Howard was still with Blood Has Been Shed at the time, but the band did actually tour with Killswitch after this album's release, so they gained some massive buzz from it. They also toured with 18 Visions, who were just then booming at the time, and it's strange to say all this because, as Keith himself would admit, the album was hard to play and write and he had no clue how. And to be fair, I do kind of agree. This album may be metalcore at its core, but it has other elements not normally found in it. It has some mathcore vibes to me, and while I'm usually not a fan of going super duper crazy with a band's first album, ETID pull it off here. Sure, almost a decade later the band may admit to not knowing what the hell they were doing, but what they did do, they had fun with. And considering the names that they would be linked to after the fact, they must have done something right. The sound is chaotic all over the place, but it's also got an oddly charming structure to it that I can't quite describe. The lyrics seem to go over relationships, conformity, but they're also very sarcastic and funny, contrasting the rawness of the music. It establishes the band's personality too. They're honest, raw, and Adam's a great producer, so he really brings out the best in them. As for the band themselves, Keith's vocals are great, with gritty, harsh screams and good melodic singing. John and Andrew just go mental on their guitars with heavy riffs and chugs. Adam's bass work is dutty, thick and groovy. Dutty is a word that should get used more. And Rob Boy's drumming is fast, chaotic, and hard-hitting. Standout songs include Punch Drunk Punk Rock Romance, Jimmy Tango's Method, Here's Looking at You, and my favourite in the Logic for Crocodiles. Last Night in Town establishes the band's style, strange as it sounds. It's frenetic, fast-paced without making you feel confused or lost, and the production really seals the deal, so I can recommend it. It's just really, really well put together. We then move on to their second album, Hot Damn! And here I was thinking we were doing the exclamation points. Released in 2003 through Ferret again, the producer for this one is one Eric Rachel, and it's the band's shortest album at 27 minutes and 9 seconds. And we have a member change, as former bassist Adam Ratachak will be replaced with Stephen McKeish. I'm going to call him that because it just sounds funny. In terms of background, there's not a lot that I can really give you, but I'll try. So, near the end of 2002, the band booked time off from touring to record this album, hoping to release it in June. Imagine how they felt when it came out on July 1st, eh? Psh! Anyway, according to Keith Buckley, a lot of the lyrics on this album were inspired by Shakespeare. At the time, he was finishing his English major at the University of Buffalo, and he was taking about 6 literature courses at once, reading up on the likes of Shakespeare, Milton, Chaucer, and John Donne. Hence those writers having some inspiration on the songwriting. Speaking of which, the band had a better handle on that here. They weren't just going crazy and somehow making it work with their debut all over again. In fact, this album has the sound I'm more used to by them, feeling more like a hardcore album than a metalcore one. To be honest, I do like the change in sound. It proves that the band is willing to experiment, but more than that, they know how to tamper with their core sound in the right way. The album is still frenetic and furious and a lot of fun, but it's more measured than their debut and is more controlled chaos as well. And the album must have done well. It put the band more on the map. It's regarded as a modern metalcore classic despite being almost 16 years old now, and the band got to tour with some huge names. Michael Romance, As I Lay Dying, before the controversy, Black Dahlia, Murder Since It Fell, and The Dillinger Escape Plan are just a handful. So yeah, I would say that the band did pretty fucking well for themselves after this album came out. The structure is all over the place once again, but more measured this time around. It's a welcome change of pace without really changing the pace, if that makes any sense. I still don't have much to say in the way of lyrics, but considering the influences, I'd say romance and love and death and stuff, maybe. It's still hard to tell, but hey, with the band's charm and likability, I can forgive that. Keith's vocals sound better with a clearer scream and some really good melodies on his clean vocals too. Jeff and Andrew continue to beat the riffs into submission, going hot and heavy. Stephen's bass works well, and he puts in a stellar performance for his first appearance with the band. And Mike's drumming is balanced, heavy, and quick. Standout songs include Romeo Go-Go, Elaborama, I've Been Gone a Long Time, and my favourite, the closing track, Pornography. That's what it's called, yes. With more pacing and melody while still being heavy and hard-hitting, Hot Damn is not just a brilliant album, but the title is probably the best reaction one could have to it. Certainly the one I had to it. So yeah, I can recommend this one. Highly so. We then reached their third album, Gutter Phenomenon. Released in 2004 through Fate Records again, there would be another producer switch with Gene Machine Freeman being the man on deck this time. There'd also be a member change of sorts as Stephen left the band a bit before this album's release and replaced by new bassist Kevin Falk. We also have some guest stars, as Jared Way, whoever the hell that is, sings on the song Kill the Music, and Daryl Palumbo of Glassjaw and Head Automatica fame appears on Champing at the Bit. So yeah, this album is vastly different to previous efforts. Most of them are. In terms of background, they did so much touring for promotion for Hot Damn that the band listened to their album a lot as part of the influence for this album. Keith himself said that as a band you can't move on until you hate everything you've done before. One way to hate what you've done before is to listen to it constantly, I guess. He also mentioned that the band listened to many genres growing up, bringing up classic rock specifically, and listening to this album it does sort of have that feel. It's the first to include some southern rock influences to it, and it shows that the band wanted to include what influenced them when they were kids. It's a good nod to the old, while heavily embracing what can be new and weird. This is their most successful album so far, and I still have 5 more to go as of writing this, but I think that's true. I feel as though this album was the band's main attempt to aim for a bigger audience, and considering the polish of the sound and how much care went into it, it did work for them. I mean, Michael fucking Madsen appears in the music video for Kill the Music, so yeah. Obviously the band's promotion wasn't too shabby either, touring with the likes of The Chariot, Michael Garaman, Story of the Year, and Protest the Hero. They were even on the 2006 Warped Tour, and while they were playing for smaller audiences at first, the more that they played the shows there, the more the people came to see them, and the more people would eventually come too. Fair to say that the band did do well. The structure speaks volumes, still energetic and mad, but more controlled, more of a hardcore punk album, but still dirty and gritty and raw. The lyrics seem to cover more tangible subjects like sex, love, and fame, and it's done with that southern charm and sense of humour that I'm personally a sucker for, and the band themselves kick ass also as usual. Keith's vocals are balanced between harsh growling screams and good clean singing. Jordan and Andrew put in some good work on their guitars with chugs and slashing riffs. Kevin's only appearance is good with noise grooves and thick tones, and Radboy's drumming is heavy, fast, and timed really, really well and nice and good and stuff. Standout songs include The New Black, Easy Tiger, Kill the Music, Guitarred and Feathered, and my favourite and the last song, Pretty Dirty. Gutter Phenomenon is a well-produced frenzied burst that is surprisingly easy to listen to. I can recommend this one. And finally, to close part 1, we reached the band's 4th album, The Big Dirty. Released in 2007, it would be the band's last release through the Ferret label, and Steve Everts would be on hand to produce. It also has a guest star as Dallas Green from Alexis on Fire appears on the song In Rehab. This album actually contains my first Every Time I Die song in Werewolf, which I heard on a CD that came with an issue of Metal Hammer, like, a decade or so ago. I wasn't as into the heavy stuff then as I am now, but the song is still good, if not better. Anyway, onto the background. So the band didn't have a bassist for this one. Kevin only made one appearance, then he was replaced by a dude named Chris Burns, who left due to money issues. As a result of that, both Andrew and John took up bass duties on this one. Sad circumstances, especially since there wasn't any ill will that spilled out from it, but it worked. Anyway, the album's title is a reference to the Trailer Park Boys movie, as the main characters, who are all criminals, plan to pull off a huge heist named The Big Dirty before retiring for good. It's a cool title, but considering that the band would make 4 more albums after this one, I don't think it follows what the movie was going for. Anyway, to absolutely nobody's surprise, this album's pretty good, and it did the band some good too. They would go touring with the likes of From First to Last, Norma Jean and Parkway Drive, as well as Killswitch Engage to Deliver Escape Plan again. The album itself almost has a concept feel to it, as the content goes over Keith seeing people around him starting to settle down and start families, something which he didn't like at the time. But the album does not feel like a fuck you to those people. It's more a reaffirming statement that he doesn't want to settle down that way. Of course, in 2009 he would wind up getting married, and they'd have a kid in 2015, but he never said that he wasn't an hypocrite, so I can give him that at least. In that odd way, the lyrics do seem to go over living relationships, or at least being fine without those things at the time, and I sort of respect that. Musically, it's the same ETID fare, still a great mix of their genres, with more accessibility than before, but without sacrificing integrity or heaviness. There's a bit more of a southern twang of sorts, though, and I appreciate that too. The band themselves have no doubt mastered their craft by this point. Keith's vocals are still mental shrieking screams and rangy cleans with good snarky delivery too. Jordan and Andrew both putting good riffs on the guitar and bass when needed, carrying the album along well. And Radboy's drumming is heavy, timed well, and really impacting. Impactful is not a word, it's impacting. Standard songs include Werewolf, Pigs is Pigs, A Gentleman's Sport, Buffalo Gals, and my favourite in Rebel Without Applause. The Book Dirty is fun and frantic, tight and chaotic, and Steve Everett's production is brilliant, so I could recommend this one. And that'll about do it for part 1. Join me hopefully on Saturday for part 2, where I cover the band's last 4 albums. I'll see you then. Thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.